A 9% increase in house sales, but a 16% drop in rental supply. No surprise given there is an increase in landlords selling up at the moment. In fact, right now we've seen the highest number of new property listings hitting the market for 7 years. If you thought the UK housing market was slowing down, you're not wrong. But the truth is far more complicated than the headlines suggest right now. In this video, I'm taking you through the latest Property and Homemover Report, which I do really personally rate. And in case you're wondering why you should even bother listening to me on this topic, I've spent the last 13 years building 2 national property businesses. British Home Buyers, a UK-wide home buying company, and British Home Sellers, a UK-wide estate agency. And I've been involved in over 14,000 transactions worth towards £5 billion. And I'm breaking it all down so you know exactly where the market is really heading beyond the headlines. So let's get into it. We've had a record-breaking start to 2025. So let's start with this headline: 451,000 new properties listed for sale in Q1, the most in 7 years. On the surface, that's great news. Supply is finally coming back, which is what Labour promised. And that is filtering through to a higher number of sales being agreed, up 9.3%, and exchanges are up 24%. But don't be fooled by the green arrows pointing up just yet, because at the same time, price reductions are up 22% and withdrawals are up 6%. Fall-throughs are up 24%. So what's really happening here? Well, a lot of activity was a rush to beat the stamp duty deadline the end of the 31st of March. And that deadline created a frenzy, but also distorted the data. So expect a pullback in the Q2, Q3 figures with a gradual rise after. But let's not forget, we right now have a rental market in crisis. If you're a tenant, brace yourself, because available rental stock has dropped 16% year on year. Average rent is now £1,767 a month, and 46% of listings are priced above £1,500 a month. And most shockingly, only 2.9% of homes sold in Q4 last year were relet in Q1 of this year. In other words, ex-rental properties are leaving the market permanently. Why? Because landlords are fed up with tax and regulatory pressures. The Renters' Rights Bill we've all heard so much about. Buy-to-let mortgage arrears are double what they were just 2 years ago. And in Q1 of this year alone, 15.6% of all newly listed homes were previously rental properties. The impact? Higher rents, more competition, and fewer options for tenants. So who are the regional winners and losers right now? Not all parts of the UK are equal right now. Where do you think is the hardest place to sell a property in 2025 right now? The Southeast. Only 50% of listings end in a sale. The average selling price is 95.6% of the asking price, and 41% of homes reduce their price before selling, and 26.5% of agreed sales are falling through at the moment. Compare that to Scotland, fastest time to sell across the UK, most likely to achieve asking price or higher, least likely to fall through, transactions to fall through across the UK. Why? Partly due to the Scottish offers over system and stronger legal protections when you make offers. But what do you think? Because right now it is now much easier to sell in the north than it is in the south. But who is actually moving right now? Forget the first-time buyer narrative. There is a reason why 100% mortgages are coming back for first-time buyers and the like. Because the real movers in 2025 are pensioners. Now 25% of homeowners, up from 17%. Those over 45 make up 42% of all movers. Households earning over £70,000 now equate to 31% of all movers, and they're moving into larger homes. 4-5 bed home demand is up 7%. So are detached and semi-detached homes, whereas terraces and flats sales are declining. And most of the demand is heading towards accessible rural areas, away from hyper-urban areas, but also away from those super remote zones that became really popular over COVID. The market right now is actually being driven by affluent, older buyers looking for space and lifestyle. That is what is skewing the averages with everything right now. So what's coming next? Let me leave you with this. 1.47 million households are currently somewhere in the home mover pipeline. That is a huge, huge number. But here's the big question. How many of them will come to the market? How many of those will even sell? How many people will need to drop their asking price before they do sell? With inflation still above 3%, swap rates rising and interest rates sticky, I don't see a crash, but I do see a slowdown. The stamp duty deadline sugar rush is behind us, and unless affordability improves or lenders loosen up, price growth will stall or quietly fall. So if you're looking to buy or sell in 2025, here are the key takeaways. Price your property realistically. Watch the local data, not just the national headlines on BBC News. And if you're renting, now might be the time to lock in a deal before things get worse. I'll see you in the next video up here.